You Are in School by Anna von Reitz. We have all been to school at some point in our lives, and we have cause to know and recognize the process. Like our first lessons walking, we often fall down and make mistakes before our feet flatten and our center of balance stabilizes and we are suddenly able to run. The same thing happens with learning to talk. We discover our voice box early and make sounds, but not words. Then, we learn to say words, sentences, whole paragraphs. It doesn't happen overnight and it does not happen without errors. Plenty of errors. This process continues as we learn to write. I have been writing for 6 decades and I still make plenty of errors. So, if you think about it, your whole life you have been in school of one kind or another. Before formal school, your parents and other family members were teaching you lots of things, and then all through formal schooling your teachers and instructors were teaching you things, and your friends and family members also, and after formal schooling ended, your supervisors were teaching you your job and your place in the company, and your spouse was teaching you all sorts of things, and Lord help us all, then your own children came along and your learning curve took another uptake. And now you are learning about law and government and the actual history of your country and about money and the media and so many other things. If you don't like school, Earth is not the place to be, because everything you do here is about learning, and making mistakes. It is obviously not the making of mistakes part that is a problem. Mistakes are built into the entire matrix of our reality here, accounted for, accepted, and most especially, unavoidable. The issue is, what do you do when you make a mistake? In order to learn from a mistake, you must first realize that you made it. Then you have to admit that you made it, confess it, at least to yourself. Then you have to choose to do things differently in the future, if and when you have to make the same choices or do the same things again. That is the learning part. That is the process that counts. It's being willing to engage that process of recognizing mistakes, admitting them, and learning to do better that matters. Of course, some mistakes carry their own automatic punishments and other punishments are less obvious. Gravity, for example, is a very stern teacher. Lying to your mother may not carry such an immediate correction, but it catches up to you, one way or another. Learning not to fall on your butt is a lot easier and more universal lesson than learning not to lie about anything, ever. Nearly everyone learns to walk, but a very large portion of the population continues to knowingly tell lies. As a species, we are stuck in 5th grade seemingly forever on that one. Even otherwise good adult people knowingly lie all the time about all sorts of things, and they lie for all sorts of reasons. They lie to go along with the crowd and be popular. They lie to get money or make money or keep money. They lie to win mates and influence other people. They lie to get sex and promotions in the workplace. They lie to cover up errors, for the sake of pride, and even to protect other people's feelings. Some people even lie just for fun, to see how long they can string someone along. All these lies and half-truths and false assumptions result in an ocean-like cloud of disinformation and falsehood that creates delusions and false assumptions and false teachings that are blanketing the earth like smog. Sadly, even our own parents lie to us. How many of you never recovered from finding out about Santa Claus? Parents are, on average, less likely to lie to us than other people, but they often lie to us because they have been lied to themselves. They unwittingly pick up their own blivet load of falsehoods, half-truths, media-induced opinion, and prejudice, which they dump on you along with perfectly good lessons about how to hold a fork. Many people lie simply because they think they can. They think that secrets exist and that their lies won't be known, but I have already told you, there are no secrets. Our existence on Earth is like being in a school run by professional con artists. No wonder we get confused, make mistakes, and sometimes go crazy. I have told you that your physical body is like a space suit, a means for your consciousness to exist in this dimension and express itself. These space suits wear out eventually or break down, and our consciousness departs from them, either temporarily to allow a repair process to take place, or permanently, which we call death. The fact is that our spacesuit has always been dead, at least as dead as anything in the entire creation is ever dead. Obviously, to the external world, your spacesuit or your house or your temple, however you wish to visualize this, is a representation of your consciousness and its presence here, in the same way that a shell gives evidence of the presence of an abalone. And yet the shell is not the abalone, and your body is not you. We are all familiar with photographs and can readily tell the difference between a photograph and a living man, because one is two-dimensional and the other is three-dimensional. But what if I were to tell you that this is just an example of a far more generalized phenomenon? What we call dimensions overlap each other in surprising ways. The representations of you in a photograph are not that much different from representations of you in 3D and other dimensions, too. Different perceptual parameters are involved, but, like a mandala, all these representations of you unfold to reveal your fully expressed consciousness, which operates in all these different dimensions at the same time. You never really leave any of the many dimensions and are present in all dimensions at all times. Whether your consciousness is inhabiting a body in this dimension or not, you can be sure that a portion of your consciousness remains here at all times and in all dimensions forever. There is no such thing as death, only an experience of separation from your spacesuit and release from the limitations of the incarnate 3D state of being. So now we have you thinking, what if I were to tell you that the actual currency of the universe is love? That love, like thought, is a living thing? And the more love you give and the more love you receive, the richer you are? Love is the one form of currency that you can never lose, that can never be degraded or destroyed, that keeps its ultimate value regardless of time, of distance, or any circumstance at all. Thus, store up your wealth in heaven, where thieves cannot break in and moths cannot destroy. All love is supremely valuable, including the love of animals and friends. We were meant to live in an environment of boundless love and to have and share this abundance without measure or concern or any fear of lack. It is only the burden of lies and false assumptions and delusions that keeps it otherwise. All forms of currency on earth are just representations of the actual currency, like a photograph of you is a representation of you. If you think about idols being a representation of God, and about a photograph of you like your physical body both being representations of you, and about digits and gold coins being a representation of love, which is credit, both deserved and undeserved, and a rainbow-colored shell being a representation of an abalone, you will better understand the invisible realm that is our actual home, the kingdom of heaven. What does it mean to have heaven on earth? Well, obviously, heaven is here already permanently embedded in what I shall call the universal multiverse, and has never been separate or lost or forbidden. Heaven isn't so much coming down from somewhere else as it is slowly revealing itself to your senses and your consciousness, like an airplane appearing from behind a cloud. Only in our case, the cloud is a cloud of lies and misperceptions and false teachings and deceits and half-truths and delusions and false appearances and false values based on all the above. I get all sorts of people writing to me wanting me to direct people beyond the slings and arrows of governments and debts and credits and guilty parties and all the rest of it. As fiduciary, I occupy a very odd position that demands awareness of all these things in terms of fairness. I assure you that there is far, far more than enough here on earth to provide for you and for all generations. There is no scarcity of anything. There are only misguided people and groups suffering under the delusion of greed and scarcity and superiority, who have hoarded up and stopped the flow of both the symbolic currencies and the natural energies of this planet and its people for themselves. So like madmen they have accrued far more than they can ever spend or enjoy, while others suffer and go without. The gluttons die choking on their gold and the poor die choking on their spit, and nobody is served by this circumstance. Out of their delusions and false assumptions based on lies and half-truths, the mistaken among us have created scarcity, poverty, starvation, lack of water, lack of transportation, lack of fuel. These are all evils created by men. There is no reason for them to exist. Let's get rid of the burden of lies and half-truths to the best of our ability and see what happens. I want everyone to do two things. 1. When you catch yourself telling a lie, stop. Even if it is a so-called harmless lie, like an exaggeration, stop. Examine it. Admit that the blister on your toe is not as big as a house. Train your mind and tongue to tell the truth to the best of your ability at all times. Be open to the truth. Ask our Father to show you the truth. Don't worry about being right and not making mistakes, worry about being deceived and contributing to deceiving others. When we all become conscious of the plague of lies, and do our part to end it, the clouds of confusion and delusion clear away. 2. Make the effort to examine what you are told and evaluate it carefully. Really question and dig and search and think for yourselves. Turn your shinola sensor on high and leave it there permanently. Few things on this earth are what they seem to be, and everyone and everything deserves questioning. You have to ask before you receive, and knock before the door is opened, but if you will faithfully and honestly search, you will see everything with increasing clarity, and that will give you both peace and power to change all that needs to be changed. Hit subscribe, like, share and get ready for many more videos from Anna von Reitz.